The small cafe buzzed with the afternoon crowd, but the billionaire sitting by the window went unnoticed as usual. He wore a simple gray hoodie, cap pulled low, blending in perfectly with students tapping on laptops and workers grabbing quick lunches. He liked it that way, quiet, invisible, free from the parade of people wanting something from him. He was pushing his fries around absent-mindedly when he noticed a young woman step inside, her coat too thin for the weather, her hand gently guiding a little boy who clung to her leg. She scanned the menu board, worry pressing deep lines into her forehead. The boy looked hungry, eyes locked on someone else's food. The billionaire quietly watched, sensing something heavy beneath her polite smile. She stood there for a long moment, calculating prices, counting coins in her palm, closing her hand again as if ashamed. The little boy tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Mama, can we share something small? I'm really hungry." She knelt, kissed his forehead, and whispered back, "We'll figure it out, sweetheart." The billionaire felt a pull in his chest, something old and familiar. He'd once watched his own mother do the same, pretend not to be hungry so her child could eat. Before he could think further, the boy's gaze drifted toward the table where he sat, eyes glued to the untouched fries. The mother hesitated, swallowed her pride, then gently approached. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, her voice trembling with both courage and embarrassment. "I'm so sorry to bother you, but could we maybe share your fries?" The billionaire blinked, taken aback. No one had ever asked him for something so small, so raw, so humbling. She wasn't asking for money, favors, or attention, just a few fries for her hungry child. He glanced at the boy, who tried to stand tall but couldn't hide the hunger in his eyes. The billionaire's instinct was to help quietly, without making her feel small. "Of course," he said warmly, sliding the plate toward them. "Actually, why don't you both sit? I can order more." She shook her head quickly. No, sir. We don't want to trouble you. Just a few fries. He hasn't eaten since morning." Her voice cracked at the end, but she forced a smile. The billionaire waved to the waiter anyway. "Please, have a seat," he insisted gently. "I was just thinking I ordered too much. Help me finish it." Her shoulders slumped with relief. She thanked him softly and helped her son into the chair. The boy reached for a fry but paused when his mother gave him a look. "Say thank you properly." He turned to the billionaire. "Thank you, sir," he said shyly, and the billionaire felt something warm and painful rise inside him. The waiter arrived, and the billionaire placed an order for a full meal, burger, soup, fries, juice, yet he did it with such casual tone that she wouldn't feel pitied. She tried to protest, but H brushed it off with a light-hearted, "I hate eating alone anyway." As the food arrived, the boy's eyes widened, but still he waited for his mother to nod. When she finally whispered, "Go ahead," he dug in eagerly. She, however, didn't touch anything. She kept insisting she wasn't hungry. The billionaire recognized the lie instantly. It was the same lie his mother used to tell him for years. Without a word, he slid the soup bowl closer to her. She blinked, hesitated, then finally took a spoonful. Once she relaxed a little, conversation began to unfold naturally. She explained she was a single mother, juggling 2 part-time jobs since the father had disappeared before the boy was born. She didn't complain, didn't blame, she simply described her life as it was, with quiet acceptance. The billionaire listened closely. She mentioned she had been laid off from one job last week and that today she hadn't been able to buy groceries. She was planning to check a charity pantry later, but her son had become dizzy from hunger, so she walked into the cafe hoping for a cheap snack. Her honesty wasn't dramatic. It was simple, raw truth. The billionaire asked the boy what he liked. "Cars," the boy said proudly. "And drawing. I draw cars all the time." His mother laughed softly. "He draws on everything, even napkins." The billionaire slid his notepad toward the child. "Here, draw me your favorite car." The boy's eyes lit up. He sketched quickly, furiously, tongue sticking out with focus. When he finished, the billionaire was stunned. The drawing wasn't random scribbles. It was detailed, imaginative, full of motion. The kind of talent that thrives only when someone believes in it. The mother looked embarrassed. "He's always drawing. I can't afford classes, but he has a gift. I just want him to have better than I can provide." The billionaire felt something shift inside him. He had spent years drowning in boardrooms and numbers, forgetting the kind of humble humanity that once shaped him. Here, in this tiny cafe, a simple request for fries had reminded him what truly mattered. He studied the mother, her tired eyes, her careful posture, her fierce love wrapped in quiet dignity. He admired her strength. "You're doing amazing," he said softly. She blinked with surprise, as if no one had ever said those words to her. Maybe no one had. The boy swung his legs under the table, happily chewing, unaware of how deeply his mother's life was being seen. When the meal ended, the mother reached into her coat pocket to offer payment for the fries she had taken earlier. It was only a few coins, barely enough for a bus ticket. "Please," she whispered, "I don't want charity." The billionaire gently pushed her hand back. "This wasn't charity. This was lunch with new friends. And besides, you helped me more than you know." She frowned at that, not understanding. He didn't explain. He simply smiled. She nodded reluctantly, tucking the coins away. The boy jumped down from his chair, energized, and ran circles around the table. For the first time, she laughed fully, an exhausted but genuine laugh. Before leaving, she asked shyly, "May I know your name?" He hesitated. Sometimes revealing who he was made people shadow their gratitude with expectations. But something about her sincerity calmed him. "My name is Daniel," he said. She introduced herself as Mia and her son as Leo. Simple names. Real names. The kind that stayed with you long after the conversation ended. They thanked him again. He offered to walk them out into the cold evening. She declined politely but warmly. "We'll manage," she said. "We always do." That sentence hit him hard. The strength in it, the exhaustion behind it, both were clear. They stepped out of the cafe, and the wind sliced through the street. Leo shivered, but Mia lifted him into her arms, shielding him as best she could. The billionaire watched them disappear around the corner, something tugging fiercely inside him. He couldn't shake the feeling that he shouldn't let this be the end of their encounter. Not out of pity, but out of a deep, personal connection he hadn't felt in years. He took a breath, pulled out his phone, and made a quick call. "I need a favor," he said. "It's urgent, and personal." His team was startled. He rarely asked for personal favors. But today wasn't like any other day. He asked them to locate community programs in the area, find art classes for children, and prepare a confidential fund that could support a family in need, quietly, anonymously. He didn't want to embarrass Mia or overwhelm her. He wanted to create opportunities she could walk into naturally, believing she had earned them, because she had. His assistant asked, "Who are we helping?" Daniel smiled softly to himself. "Two people who reminded me what kindness looks like." He ended the call and returned to the cafe window seat, staring at the remaining fries. He realized they weren't leftovers today, they were the beginning of something much bigger. That night, Mia put Leo to bed with the full belly he'd missed for days. She sat beside him, stroking his hair, grateful for the stranger who had shown unexpected kindness. She didn't know why he had helped, but she prayed silently that wherever he was blessed for his generosity. She stared at Leo's drawing, still on the napkin, and felt a pang of guilt. She feared she wasn't giving him enough, no matter how hard she worked. But then she remembered the stranger's quiet reassurance, "You're doing amazing." It warmed her heart more than she expected. Meanwhile, Daniel couldn't sleep. Thoughts of Mia and Leo kept circling his mind like a soft storm. He admired her pride, her resilience, her gentle strength. He admired Leo's spark, that natural artistic brilliance waiting for the right chance. He remembered growing up in a small apartment with nothing but big dreams and a mother who gave him everything she had. He wished someone had stepped in earlier to help them. Perhaps life would have been easier. Or perhaps he wouldn't have become who he was today. He didn't know, but he knew he couldn't walk away now. The next morning, he returned to the cafe at the same hour, hoping he might see them again. He ordered the same fries, same coffee, same corner seat. Hours passed, customers came and went, but Mia and Leo never appeared. He wondered if maybe she worked mornings somewhere, or maybe she lived far away and wouldn't pass this way again. Still, he waited. He wasn't used to waiting for anyone. People usually waited for him, but this was different. This mattered. By sunset, he realized they might not return. Yet something inside him told him their paths weren't meant to end so abruptly. The following day, armed with discreet information from his team, Daniel visited a small community center only a few blocks away. There, free art workshops were held twice a week, funded quietly by a donor who wished to remain anonymous. That donor, of course, was him. He had set it up overnight with the speed only a billionaire could manage. As he toured the hall, he imagined Leo sitting at one of the little tables, crayons scattered everywhere, drawing cars with that fierce concentration he had shown. The thought brought an unexpected smile to Daniel's face. He instructed the center director that if a single mother named Mia ever came, she should receive full access to every program, without any mention of payment or sponsorship. Make it look like she just qualifies automatically, he insisted. I don't want her to feel singled out. The director nodded, moved by his sincerity, though unaware of who Daniel actually was. As Daniel left the center, the air felt lighter, as if the world had shifted just a bit. He didn't know when or if Mia would walk through those doors, but he wanted her to find a world waiting to support her, not swallow her. Days passed. Then one evening, as Daniel returned to the cafe for his usual solitary meal, he saw a familiar figure outside the window. Mia stood there, holding Leo's hand, hesitating as if unsure whether to enter. When she finally stepped inside, she spotted him and froze. Her cheeks flushed, embarrassed, as if she feared he might think she came hunting for more help. Daniel waved warmly. I'm glad to see you again, he said. She approached slowly, smiling awkwardly. We were passing by. Leo insisted on seeing if you were here. He wanted to show you something. Leo ran forward and held out a new drawing, a car. But even more detailed than before. I made this today, he announced proudly. Daniel examined it, genuinely impressed. You're getting even better, he said. Mia added softly, he's been practicing ever since we met you. Her eyes shone with pride. Daniel asked if they'd like to join him again. She hesitated but agreed. Leo climbed into the seat beside him as if it were perfectly natural, while Mia sat across, her hands folded neatly, still unsure how to behave around him. But something about Daniel's presence made her relax. They talked for a long time. About life, art, dreams, work. Mia mentioned she had been offered a cleaning shift at the community center starting next week. It's nothing fancy, she said, but it's stable. And they said Leo can join a free kids program while I work. It's such a blessing. Daniel's heart tightened. She didn't know the truth, that he had paved the way. But hearing her gratitude, her relief, made it all worth it. I'm happy for you, he said sincerely. You deserve stability. She smiled for the first time without that underlying sadness. As the evening deepened, Leo dozed off in the booth, his head resting on Mia's lap. Daniel watched the tender scene, overwhelmed by how much strength lived inside this small, quiet woman. She had weathered storms most people never saw, and still managed to smile gently at her child. He admired her more with each passing minute. I hope you don't mind me saying this, he began, but you're one of the strongest people I've met in a long time. She blushed, lowering her eyes. I don't feel strong. Most days I feel like I'm barely holding everything together. Strength isn't about never struggling, he replied softly. It's about showing up anyway. She looked at him thoughtfully. You speak like someone who's been through something, she said. He hesitated, then admitted, I didn't grow up with much. My mom raised me alone. Life wasn't easy, but kindness, small kindness, changed everything for us. She nodded slowly, understanding. She didn't pry further. She didn't flatter him or idealize him like others always did. She simply listened, and that, to him, felt like a rare gift. For a moment, he considered telling her who he really was. But he decided the time wasn't right. He wanted her to know him, not his wealth. When it was time to leave, Daniel offered to walk them home. She hesitated again but eventually agreed. They walked through quiet streets, Leo asleep in her arms. The city lights reflected on the wet pavement, casting soft glows around them. During the walk, Mia shared tiny pieces of her life. How she dreamed of studying graphic design one day, how she wanted to give Leo opportunities she never had, how she wished the world were kinder. Daniel listened, storing every word carefully, as if each one mattered deeply. And they did. He found himself wishing the walk would never end. When they finally reached her building, an old complex with flickering lights and peeling paint, she apologized for the condition. He shook his head. "Don't apologize," he said gently. "A home is a home." She smiled gratefully. She tucked a sleeping Leo into her arms and whispered, "Thank you, Daniel, for everything." He felt an unexpected stir in his chest. "You don't owe me anything," he murmured. "But, if it's okay, I'd like to see you both again." She nodded softly. "I'd like that too." And with that, she disappeared up the stairs, leaving him standing alone, but not lonely for the first time in years. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew naturally. They met often. Sometimes at the cafe, sometimes at the park where Leo would draw on the benches. Daniel never revealed his secret, choosing instead to enjoy the authenticity Mia offered. She spoke to him like a regular man, not a billionaire. Her laughter came easier now, her eyes brighter. Leo adored him and often ran into his arms with new drawings. And each time Daniel saw Mia smile at her son, he felt something warm bloom deeper inside him. Something he hadn't felt in years, hope. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Daniel decided it was finally time to tell her the truth. Not because he feared she would treat him differently, but because he wanted no secrets between them. He arrived at her building with a nervousness he hadn't felt since he was young. She opened the door, surprised yet happy to see him. Leo greeted him with a hug. After the boy ran off to show his newest drawing, Daniel took a deep breath. "Mia," he began, "there's something you should know about me." She looked at him calmly. "Whatever it is, just say it." He explained everything. Who he really was, how he had grown up poor, how he had quietly arranged the opportunity at the community center. He expected her to pull away, to feel betrayed, to be overwhelmed. Instead, she listened silently, processing each word with remarkable steadiness. When he finished, she didn't step back. She stepped closer. "Daniel, you helped us with kindness, not with money," she said softly. "That's what matters. And you didn't treat us like a charity case. You treated us like people." Her voice trembled. "Thank you for that." Relief surged through him like a warm tide. Leo came running with his drawing, a picture of 3 figures holding hands. "This is us," he said happily. Daniel stared at it, throat tightening. Mia smiled at him, a soft, hopeful smile. And for the first time in a very long time, Daniel felt certain of something. Meeting them wasn't an accident. It was fate. Quiet, unexpected, beautifully ordinary fate. He knelt beside Leo, ruffled his hair, and whispered, "That's my favorite drawing yet." The boy beamed. Mia's eyes glistened. And in that tiny apartment, with peeling walls and warm hearts, Daniel realized he had finally found what money could never buy: family, belonging, and love.